Hello and welcome back to my channel. I feel like that's a very appropriate opening considering the topic of this week's video, which is going to be me attempting to depot my Jeffree Star eyeshadow palettes. I mean, this brand is so controversial, I can't even start. I have been thinking about depotting these palettes for a while, not just because Jeffree is a very controversial person himself, but also because these palettes are just so, I mean, they're huge, guys. This Bloodlust is literally the size of my head. Like, it's crazy. And even though some of them are beautiful, got blue blood, look at how thick it is. They take up way too much room for what they are, and I just need to refine my collection for sure. So keep watching to see me attempt to do this. For full disclosure, there's a couple of my Jeffree palettes that I'm not going to attempt to depot. So I'm not attempting to depot Blood Sugar because that possibly is my favourite palette that I own. And I don't want to even risk, you know, damaging any of those shadows at all. And I'm also not depotting the Mini Breaker because that is so useful to travel with. Alright, so before we embark on the chaos, I should say that if you're new here, my name is Madeline Monho. I am a drag queen and a visual artist. You can find me at Madeline Monho on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and maybe one day Facebook, but not quite yet. I am dressed a little bit Halloween-y today with the colours and my little custom sandworm earrings and also my little ghosty boob top because I'm about to turn this into a Halloween look after we've depotted these shadows because we love killing two birds with one stone here. Enough about the ghost boobs. My point is that I've got a load of Halloween looks coming over on my Instagram. I'm doing everything from little cute kitsch, like wearable glam Halloween, but mostly special effects makeup and gore and more like draggy, scary looks. So follow me over on Instagram to keep up with the madness. Alright, let's get to some depotting. So I'll be completely honest with you guys, I've never depotted an eyeshadow before. I only really considered depotting my Jeffree shadows because I saw a lot of people doing it after the big controversy about him this year. I mean, I feel like you can just say a big controversy about Jeffree Star and it really could be anything, but the one this year about him being racist and emotionally abusive and manipulative, and it doesn't even surprise me anymore. However, what I saw people doing was throwing their whole shadow palettes away, which I think is super wasteful because the shadows actually are very, very good. I do like them a lot. I use them a lot. I'm using some today. So I didn't want to just get rid of my palettes. Also, they're very expensive. It's such a waste of money just to throw them away. So I saw people start to depot them and put them into their little create your own Franken palettes. Very appropriate for Halloween. I saw people start to put them into their little own palettes and I just thought that was such a good way of not supporting the brand outwardly but still finishing the shadows that you've got. So I've done a few already, I'm not gonna lie. This is like a here's one I prepared earlier moment for sure. Like I said, I've never depotted an eyeshadow before, so I just wanted to make sure that they weren't all gonna shatter straight away. So what I did was in this little pro palette here from Revolution Beauty, I depotted a few shadows from the palettes that I have. Not gonna lie, some of them went a lot better than others. I've got this shadow here from the Beauty Killer palette, just completely smashed, which is great. I think this one is from Bloodlust, which also has just not fared very well. But what I tried to do is basically take out the colours that I don't use very much. So the nudes were the ones that I went for first, and then I took out some of the shimmers and purples just to make sure that I could actually get everything out into these palettes. So I have shattered a few. My room is complete chaos with shadows everywhere. So fingers crossed that we won't shatter anymore today, but let's just dive straight in. So talking of diving, I feel like it's only fair now to start with the Blue Blood palette. I will show you some of the ones that I've taken out already. And you can see that it's not actually been going so well with the fact that the glue has just completely ripped off the cardboard backing it. So what I'm going to try today, and what I didn't try the first time around and definitely should have tried the first time around, is just hair drying the back of the palette to try and like make the glue a little bit more malleable and a little bit more you know, easier to get it out. So we will see if that works, but anything's got to be better than just trying to yank them out without any help. So I've just hair dried the Blue Blood palette for probably about 2 minutes on high. I did the back and I also did the front because, like I said earlier, it's a very thick palette. So I thought maybe just going straight on over the shadows is going to give the glue a little bit better chance of melting. So let's try. What I'm going to be using to depot my shadows, and please, if you do this at home, you can get like better things to do this with, but because I am impatient, I'm going to be using these, which is a pair of my old tweezers that I have just pulled apart slightly so that I can dig into the side of the shadows with one of the edges. Now, here is where I really need to apologize for my filming setup because I haven't got this done very well. But if we go in maybe here, you've got to try and find an in. So I've just popped that into the side of the shade and get it under. And you can see that that shade now is like coming away from the cardboard. If this is the hairdryer, this has made this so much easier. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, don't do this without a hairdryer, you guys. That is so much easier. And it just pops out like this, gives you a little thing. It will have probably the glue and a little bit of cardboard still in the back. I'm not going to attempt to take that off on camera because it is fiddly and annoying and it takes forever. But essentially, once you've got the glue off the back of all of your pans, you can literally just like pop them into your Z palette, to your Franken palette. I mean, it sticks okay without the glue coming off the back, but it does stick a lot better and it's a lot more secure with it. So let me try and pop out a few more shades and see if it's still going to go as well as that one just did. Okay, so we've had our first casualty and this is completely my fault, but I'm going to show you guys just so you can see how easy it is. Basically what I've done is when I've tried to dig the pan out of the palette, I've accidentally stabbed the eyeshadow. You can see it just here on my tweezers and this is such a shame because it's such a nice shimmer, but you can see just here where that's going to now come away and you are going to get eyeshadow absolutely everywhere. So okay, this really is a casualty. I have already dropped some of this shade on my white carpet now, which is not good. But basically this is how, oh my god, it's just dropping everywhere. This is how this shade eventually came out. You can see it's very, I've like literally hit the pan with how much I've dug into the actual shadow there, which is so disappointing, but you know what, you win some, you lose some, and I'm definitely losing this one. Alright, so moving away from Blue Blood for the time being, let's make a start on the Bloodlust palette. Now, I have a lot of opinions about this palette anyway. I don't particularly like it all that much, so I feel like once I've depotted and then re-swatched all these shades, there are going to be a lot that I just get rid of, or even potentially put in a little Franken palette for one of my friends to play with. But what I found when I was trying to depot this one was that the shades actually came out so much nicer. You can see on Pink Magic that it came off without the glue, which is just fantastic. It means I can just whack it straight in the Franken palette and be done with it and move on. Oh my god, this is beautiful. Oh, I can't believe how happy that makes me. Am I sad for thinking that? So, Beauty Killer has definitely been the hardest of all the palettes that I've tried to depot. Obviously, the shade China White was the shade that I showed you earlier that had just really not fared very well and pretty much completely shattered. Which is a shame, and it is kind of making me reconsider taking any of these shadows out of here, because I also do really like this palette. I mean, like, these 4 shades here are incredible. This purple's really nice, the gold is stunning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat it up, and I'm going to try maybe taking out, I think I'll take out the black shade, because this black shade has a lot of fallout, so it's not one that I usually go for if I'm using a black. So while that depotting arguably did go better than the depotting for China White, it has cracked the shadow almost along the side of the star monogram. Hopefully you guys can see the crack in that shadow. I'm feeling quite positive about it because I've just gone over it with a wet wipe and it has seemed to smooth the crack out. The shadow now just seems fine, just seems, you know, to have popped out quite nicely. But I do think that they might have used a different kind of glue or like sticking agent on this palette, because this is what is on the back, which looks kind of gross for one, but also so I've just tried to depot Courtney from the Beauty Killer palette, and it did not go well, friends. It did not go well at all. This wasn't my favourite shade in the whole palette, and there is still quite a lot of shadow left, considering it's a nude as well that, you know, I've got so many of. I'm not too upset about it. However, I think if I was to do this to this neon pink in the palette or the shimmer blue, I might actually just want to end my life right now. It's empty. You believe it? Oh, I mean, it's a lot of work, but I think it's worth it, even just for the space in your collection. Like, I can't wait to get these in the bin. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry to whatever product team put the time into designing these. I cannot wait to get them in the bin. Ugh. Wow, it's very dark now, and I'm very sorry about that. I did not anticipate it to get dark this quickly. Okay. I'm gonna be honest, I never want to have to do this again in my life. Peeling the glue off all the back of those shadows made me question all of my life decisions up until this point. However, I do have my 2 Franken palettes to show you. Now, these aren't organised yet, obviously. I've just kind of thrown them in as and when. A lot of them did also crack as I was getting the glue off the back of them, which is disappointing, but here is what I have so far. I am going to rearrange these. I don't particularly like the colour story, apart from maybe like this here, I think is pretty cool, but all the rest of it, I'm just going to have to rearrange as when. I was very kind of aware that I didn't want to depot Blue Blood and then just kind of remake Blue Blood, but in the Franken palette. So I definitely want to have a play around with the blues and see if there's any kind of more interesting combinations I can make with them. But if you've got any ideas or suggestions or want to let me know what you would do with these palettes, just let me know in the comments and I will take that on board. And that is that for today. Wow. I'm so happy that this is finally done. It's been on my to-do list for so long now. Oh, it's over. So I'm going to go and try and transform this into a Halloween look. I'm not quite sure how much I hate myself yet for committing to doing that, but we'll see. And if you want to see that look along with all my other Halloween stuff, give me a follow on my Instagram at Madeline Monho, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.